everybody, my name's Savannah Wichman of Mountain Mama Florals, and today we will be processing flowers. We're starting with 2 buckets, one that's empty for scraps and one that has water in it about 2 or 3 inches, sometimes a little more. And then you have your flowers. Now I have my tools here. We've got plain scissors, clippers, hardy shears, and wire cutters. And I'm going to use my plain scissors to cut off all of the plastic and rubber bands and kind of just throw any trash here in my spare bin. All right, and we're clipping off those rubber bands. And then what we're doing today is processing flowers. So we're going to take off any extra leaves, greenery, checking the flower heads, taking off anything that's a little dead or that we don't need in our arrangements so that when we come time to arranging, it can go by a lot faster. So some of these flowers you can just take and strip right on off with your hands, and some of them you gotta take piece by piece or use cutters or flower knife with. Now I've moved on to my ranunculus here, my butterfly ranunculus, and we're taking off that cover again. And so with these ones, I'm using my shears to cut off any extra flowers I don't need. However, these ranunculus I do find open up a lot, so I left a lot of those babies on there to kind of figure out when I got closer to designing time. Now these are some of those flowers that you can just grab with one hand and pull with the other, and all of those leaves come right on off. And then I'll go back in there and take off anything else like dead flower heads that I don't want to use, that aren't going to be as pretty for my design. This here is a nice light pink stalk. It's a very pretty fairy-like design I did here. We've got Orlay, and this one was a lot more leafy, so I was able to take off a lot, but I also wanted to leave a lot of their stringier pieces because I was making a smaller design, and so I wanted to use a lot of smaller heads that I might have normally thrown away for a larger design here, but I just didn't want to cut them up right away. I was going to let them all water overnight. And then at the end of your flowers here, you're taking off about 1 to 2 inches so that they can have new cuts, so they'll start soaking back up that water, especially as I'm about to let them sit overnight or two so they can get nice and hydrated. Now here we have asparagus fern. It was beautiful and I had so much fun with it. However, I did learn, this was my first time using this one, that it sheds like crazy. So I'm still working on a way to avoid that. But it was very fun to work with and design with. It's very full and leafy. Now if you have softer hands though, I will recommend stripping it while wearing gloves because this one was a little prickly. Now I've clustered them together because the stems aren't too fragile of this one and cutting off the ends all at once. And I was taking off a lot of dead pieces off the branches here and there. This is a giant pile of rosemary that I loved working with. It's very fragrant and it's beautiful in pieces. But I only needed little sprigs because, like I said, it's a small arrangement. So I was going to get rid of a lot of the smaller pieces off the sides, but for most of it we're going to leave overnight because I'm just going to use bits and pieces here and there. But I do need to use the hardier shears because it is a much woodier stem. All right, and we're taking off a lot of those leaves to make sure that they're not sitting below the water line, because when you have the leaves sitting in the water, it grows bacteria a lot faster. So you want to make sure you're keeping those flowers clean, and that's one of the big reasons why we're taking off all of this foliage and leaves and unnecessary things so it's not sitting in there. And this one piece of rosemary was extra long, and I felt like I could turn it into 2 pieces. So I made sure to cut it just above some of the leaves so you couldn't tell it was a cut piece. And I used 2 out of it. And here's all of my flowers at the end. So it was a long process to get all of those flowers done, and we're getting faster by the day. But it's definitely necessary. It speeds up the design process, and we get some beautiful flowers out of it. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day, everybody.